welcome, John Gray. I'm so happy to have you here with us today. And John Gray is the author of the most well-known and trusted relationship book of all time, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Dr. Gray has written over 20 books. His most recent book is Beyond Mars and Venus. His Mars-Venus book series has forever changed the way men and women view their relationships. His approach combines specific communication techniques with healthy nutritional choices that create the brain and body chemistry for lasting health, happiness, and romance. So I have the privilege being part of your Mars-Venus coaching team, and I'm always excited meeting you. And today is full moon, today is Valentine's, or it's Valentine's week, Valentine's just passed, but also astrologically very, very interesting. Today on the 15th, 16th February is Venus and Mars conjunction in the sky in Capricorn, which is your sun sign. So this is this one day where these two planets just meet in the sky, and it's not often happening. So I think this is pretty amazing. And I want to talk about with you Mars, Venus, the brain and love, falling in love, being in love, staying in love, and falling out of love. And I know you have lots to tell about that. So thank you, John.
Oh, I'm just taking that in. That's so exciting that it's only for one day that Mars.
I think it's very short. I think there's a moment in time today where they're really conjunct very clearly, and then I think Mars is always a little faster than Venus. Yeah. I don't know.
No, they are. They go. Well, I think they're perfectly conjunct now. So this is a very special day. So I'm very excited to hear. I'm very excited to hear what's going to come out of my mouth. Because clearly it's going to be something better than I've ever said before.
That's fantastic. When I started to be a love coach like 10, 12 years ago, I was very fond of Helen Fisher's video, The Brain and Love. And there is a lot of, data about what the brain is doing. And I know, you back this up in a very different way. And having studied with you, there is so much about the whole, not just the chemistry per se, but I'm also very interested to hear about heart and brain. So what is it? Let's talk about being in love. What is the brain really doing? Why are we falling in love the way we are falling in love?
All right, well, let's look at falling in love. First of all, how to define falling in love. Well, I know what falling in love is. I've done it many, many times. And I will care for someone. I will like someone. I will enjoy someone. I love being with that person. But am I in love with them? And what is falling in love? Well, I know the moment where I've fallen in love many times in my life. And that moment of falling in love is where I'm thinking, this could be the one that I stay in love with. See, it's the hope. It's the possibility. It's maybe this is the one and I'm falling in love with them. So falling in love is thinking maybe this is the one, but we don't know yet that they're the one. That's why it's not being in love. Okay, so what I know to be the case, having been married for 34 years, and my wife has passed for now 3 years. I've gone through the major grieving process, still do a bit of it still. But what a grieving process will do is open your heart up even more. Every loss in my life, the death of my father when I was on the honeymoon, it wasn't just he died, he was found dead in the trunk of his car. Someone robbed him and put him there, and he died of heat asphyxiation in the trunk of his car. What a shock that was to me. Before I married my beautiful wife, Bonnie, prior to this, I tried to marry Bonnie. She wouldn't marry me when I was younger. So I married another woman, and I fell in love with that other woman. She could be the one. And then at one point I realized we loved each other, but she wasn't the one. There was just a knowing she's not the one. It wasn't as smooth as that. She fell in love with another man. I was devastated, big time devastated. And I used to teach a seminar called Making Love Work with her. So now I couldn't teach about relationships because I just going through a divorce. So I had no career. The woman I was in love with, thinking she could be the one. And much of the time I was in love, but then I would go out of love, fall back in love, out of love, in love, until finally we realized we're not right for each other. She realized it first. Although I have to say that 20 years later, she said that was the biggest mistake of her life. Only good for my ego. But having said all this, we really weren't right for each other. And I could say all the reasons for it, but I just didn't know at the time. And we're both good, wonderful people. And she's a lovely lady. But I married Bonnie. I healed my heart. I was devastated at 9 months to heal my heart. I teach you the processes of how to do that in my books and my classes and so forth. And what did I do to make a living after I couldn't teach my seminar? Well, I created a new seminar called Healing the Heart. I had a broken heart. So then I developed that. And then as I did that, then I started getting into the gender stuff, which is the understanding that men and women are different. Because what I found out, and this is practical for everybody listening, I couldn't fully heal my heart until I realized that I was a part of the problem. Okay, so that's a very important thing. You see, I could experience my emotions and process my emotions and grieve and whatever. That's part of the healing process. But you're not healed unless you fully feel I wasn't a victim. If you feel you're a victim, you got to connect the mind with the heart. The heart is processing the emotions, the devastation, the anger, the sadness, the fear, the despair, the shame, the guilt. How can I ever teach anything again? Why would anybody come to me? I'd be a hypocrite. What did I do wrong? And the anger is like, how she have an affair on me? She lied to me. She cheated me. She didn't do this. She was always this way. It's all victim mentality, but you have to be true to your heart. Now, your heart actually doesn't feel any of those things. It's your heart feeling that gives your ability to know what's going on inside of you. See, that's your heart, is to say, what's going on inside of me? And you express those feelings. Once again, you're now connecting to your heart because you're at least becoming aware of what's going on inside of you, but it's still not the true you. The true you is feeling all that stuff, negativity, which is not you. To preface that, who I am and who you are and anybody listening is I'm in touch with my true authentic self, the little spirit that came into this world and is still trying to integrate into this body that I move around and so forth. Is that spirit, that pure soul, little heavenly being, or big heavenly being, however you want to feel yourself. That being is always happy, grateful, excited, and proud, self-love. And we can talk about any of those things. They're all available to us. But what keeps us from being in touch with who we really are is all of our negative reactions, unconscious, repetitive reactions that are created through the controlling influence of conditioning of the world and our childhood. Everything, all the conditioned negative responses in our parents, we suck up and absorb in the first 7 years. And for the longest time, the field of psychology said that cannot change. And then a brilliant scientist discovered brain plasticity. With your brain, you can choose certain activities that can recondition your brain. And you can't do that, what I found, if you don't connect the brain to the heart, because it's the heart that allows you to actually feel those moments where you were conditioned in the wrong way. You can go back and feel those moments. And with your brain, your mind, you can look at it from another point of view. You see, as a child, if I'm crying in the dark, I don't know that there are people out there that will come and help me. I don't know that one day, even if I am hungry, I can go to the refrigerator and get food myself. Okay. We don't know any of that stuff. So we're in desperation, crying. I'll never get it. I get it. Then we learn that to get what we want, we have to express emotion. So whenever negative emotion, we have to cry, or we feel a tantrum, and all that is just conditioned into us. Some people cry more, some people throw tantrums more, they get angry. Some people recoil in fear. Some people feel inadequate and feel bad. They shrink down like this, they go into a feel bad position. All these are programmed in conditioned responses based upon our parents. We absorb it all. Now, some people say, I never saw my parents expressing those emotions. I said, yeah, because they held it inside. And if they hold it inside, it's even more powerful to affect you because you don't even know how. It's all unconscious. So it goes into you unconsciously and then drives your life. One of the great psychologists, Jung, he said, it's a famous quote, but I love it because I didn't know it until recently. So I'll just repeat it. And it's most people know it. It's simple stuff. And it's that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we'll call that fate. Well, that's just the way I am. That's just the way I am. I'll give you a little example of that. I remember as a boy, when I'm not as a grown adult, my first marriage, when I wasn't as conscious, I was, I don't want to go to parties. Why don't you want to go to parties? You know, I was like introverted, didn't want to go. And I am an introvert and an extrovert. I'm all things. Okay. Once I know my true self, but the introverted part of me is, I really like hanging out with people. And then, you know, she basically said, okay. But then I looked at myself, why am I this way? This is who I am. I don't like to hang out with people. I don't like social interactions. I don't like parties. And so I said, why don't I like that? Because most people, if you say to them, why don't you want to go? Oh, I just don't like parties. Well, why do I not like parties? Well, then you look, well, why is it? Well, it's uncomfortable. Well, then why is it uncomfortable? Well, a part of me is concerned that people won't like me. A part of me is concerned that I'll get in a conversation, I can't walk away without being impolite. I want to be polite, and I'll be put in situations where I can't be polite. A part of me is concerned that I'll run out of things to say in a conversation. I'm concerned that I'm embarrassed. They'll think I look foolish, like I have nothing to say when I have nothing to say. So you see, there's a vast cavern of emotions in there. And those emotions are all based upon early life experiences, or early life experiences in our parents, which are based on early life experience of their parents. So we have the whole idea of a timeline that goes back to being monkeys. Anytime you're angry and you're yelling, you're a monkey. Now, why would that be? See, monkeys can't communicate effectively. The only thing they do is express noises. And if you don't hear me, I'll just make a louder noise. As opposed to if I'm talking to you and you don't hear me, I'll adjust what I say. Oh, you didn't understand that? Let me try it differently. A simple, basic skill. Instead of saying, you're not listening to me, this is all the women that say that. No, that's not what I said. You're not listening to me. How about say, let me try saying this a little bit differently. Or let me try another approach. We see women don't know how they turn men off. Men don't know how they turn women off. We're so fools. And yet we blame our other partners. Now, ultimately, what we do is foolish, who we are as these amazing human beings who have been conditioned to be foolish, who have been conditioned to behave like animals, to behave like children who have no supervision. You know, children without supervision are little devils. They're horrible. They fight. They're selfish. I want this. They're jealous. All this back and forth. They hit each other. I mean, they need supervision. And what supervision does is just by attending to your children, all the lessons you've learned is in a field around you. And that field goes into their field because they're a part of you. And that's how they learn. I love this example from a book written many years ago. I think Cracking the Cosmic Egg or something like that, a psychiatrist who has tested the learning ability of children by watching Sesame Street, which is, most people know it, but if they don't, it's a children's program where they teach you ABCs and sing, spelling and the count, how to count 1, 2, 3. So it's all fun and playfulness. And they would test the children afterwards what they learned. So two groups of children. One group of children had the parent sitting next to them saying nothing while the children was watching the show. Another group of children were alone watching the show. The comprehension and the learning of the child from the show was dramatically lower when the parent wasn't present. That's all it took, just the parent being aware of what their child was hearing, which I laugh now as I say that, because in America, there's this huge fight, this war going on between parents and what they teach in school. And why it's going on is because of the lockdown. The lockdown did this great thing where the parents can actually see what they're saying to your children. And they're outraged. How dare you tell my children that your identity is not male or female? You know, you could be female, little boy. You know, oh, it sounds like you're more a little girl. You know, it sounds a little girl. Oh, you should be more of a boy. They're insane. The parents are outraged about teaching racism and identity politics and all. Well, wait a second. Just teach my kids, you know, how to do the academics, please. I don't need you to teach them your values. Get out of my life. They're just furious about it. It's going to change. You'll see next election, it's all going to change in America because there wasn't parental supervision. Now we can look at like violence in America. Everybody can look at America, the most violent country in the world. We've always been that, but now 10 times more. what's going on? Well, what you have here is something very unique. 70% of the Black population of boys or girls never saw their father or don't know their father. Absence of father involvement causes dysfunction in children. Now, I know many women are listening. Oh my God, I got children. I don't have a husband. Go out and date a man. It doesn't matter. Just if you're getting supervision from a man, you see, you need the male. If you have children, how'd you make those children? With a man. If you can make a baby without a man, then fine, go with a woman. But if you make a man, you need a man to make a body, a baby. You need a man to raise those children. It's so, so important. Otherwise, you're going to have these weak men. Weak men become angry men. You see, all these tough guys who are violent are insecure guys. And only can you be angry if you're afraid. They're scared. You know, confident man doesn't get angry. And if he gets angry, he manages it properly and doesn't raise his voice like an animal. This is monkeys. So this is lack of male supervision. Now that's what children need, is male supervision and women's supervision. But more importantly, with a woman, with your mother, you need loving supervision. And loving supervision is happy supervision, happy and safe and able to love men. This is very, very important. You want a boy to feel good about himself and you've complained about his father. Are you kidding? All he's going to feel is inadequate because he is like the father. Every child has half dad in them and half mom in them. And you've got to love that father. And so maybe you're divorced because you have to recognize if you're a victim of anything, you're not seeing that you're equally a part of the problem in some way. We want equity, right? Everybody wants equity now. This word equity. That means you are equally a part of the problem. You're not a victim. And if you are a victim, he's a victim of you. And that's true. I listen to women complain about their husband wanting a divorce. I talk to the husband. He's wanting a divorce. They come to me thinking they can bring back the love. She says, I give and I give and I give. I get nothing. And he says, John, no matter what I do, it's never enough for that lady. She's never happy. How can your love grow? Those are all lies. They're fantasies. It's false information. It's misleading information. It's a narrative that's spreading the world that you're a victim. No, we're not victims. And there are situations where clearly we're victims if we're in a survival level of life. But if you're at war, you're definitely a victim. But prior to that, and what we have to see right now as human beings, Dr. Maslow, another famous psychologist, almost 100 years ago, he explained that we have a hierarchy of needs. Survival need. If I'm arguing with my wife and the house is really cold, I build a fire, suddenly it's romantic. I mean, no problems at all. I had this experience. Going to our ranch and it was really cold and the heaters weren't working. I built a fire and suddenly I forgot all of our problems. Gone. Because we were in survival. I need warmth. And when you need warmth, there's no other problem. You satisfy that and everybody's happy. If you're hungry, we see problem today is we're not in touch. We can handle we can handle our survival needs, even though we think we can't, I can't buy a new iPhone. I have to go to the bathroom. My toilet's plugged up. Oh, poor me. You can go outside and do it. We imagine our big problems. Okay. But we make a big deal out of nothing. There's nothing ever to be unhappy about. We make a big deal about it. And yet at a survival level, there is, and at a security level, somebody's stealing from you. You need to protect yourself. But these are basic things we handle for ourselves. Then comes the next need. He said the need for belonging. So the belonging part of it is you have a relationship, you have a family, you have a Republican Party, a Democrat Party, you've got a favorite team. We just had the Super Bowl, people going ballistic because their team won. Oh my God, they're so happy because that team member, that's me out there on the field winning that game. That's our side. We won. So that's again, that's a tribal level of consciousness. Unfortunately, around the world with the vaccinated and unvaccinated, we've reversed back to tribalism. Our side is better than yours. You see, we're devolving recently, and all they do, they just give messages of fear. See, fear is forgetting everything's all right. FEAR, forgetting everything's all right. And then you have, and people can argue with that, but the bottom line is whatever your situation is, you're still alive. And if you're going to die, you're still all right. It's like, what's the big deal? I'm going to die. I mean, it'd be awful for my children. If it's awful for my children, that's my mind. Think it's all, give them a chance to be more independent. there's a wisdom to everything in the universe. And isn't it nice to have a belief like that? It makes me happy all the time. Some people just unfortunately don't have positive beliefs. It's just you live in a negative world. Any belief you have that's causing you to suffer, you're justifying, you're believing very hardly in it. And yet why hold on to that idea as opposed to another belief that can make you feel good? That's how you change all your beliefs, is realize that when you're upset, you're experiencing suffering and pain. Always it's your negative belief, your misinterpretation, you're believing in the wrong, you're getting misinformation. That's a big phrase now. Misinformation, disinformation. That's called childhood. Childhood is misinformation and disinformation that says you're not good enough and you don't deserve more and you have to earn love and you have to be better and you have to be the best. Otherwise, you don't deserve love. That's all misinformation we get is programmed into us. And so when we're attracted to lies and misinformation, because we're believing the big lie, which is you're not good enough. You don't deserve love. You're not here in the world for a reason. You don't have a mission and a purpose. You don't deserve. You're all alone. Nobody loves you. You can't get what you need. These are all lies. They're all beliefs inside that we have to gradually become aware of and let go of. And you can't become aware. Well, you can become aware of, but you can't change until you realize that belief is causing you pain. And you have to feel that pain, the depth of that pain. For me, there was a very deep belief. When my wife died, I grieved for 2-3 years. And the first year of grieving was mainly wailing. It's an sound. Tears and flowing, because it was a very primitive part of me that was bonded to her. See, the deeper you bond, we had a great sex life. When you have a great sex life, you're bonding at the most primitive level of your brain. You see, that's why people with great sex lives live a long life. Here I'm with a great sex life now with a new partner with a great sex life. Every man I know, all my guys in 70s, they can't even get erections anymore unless they're doing porn. With their wives, they feel nothing. They love their partners, but they don't have the power of their masculinity, which comes by being integrated spirit, mind, heart, and body. That force which rules the unconscious, that rules digestion, that rules sex drive, that rules regeneration. So, you've got the average male every year, his testosterone level at every age, now, this is a new phenomena, testosterone going down 1 degree, 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. Now, when I looked at this 20 years ago, when I was 50, again, men were needing Viagra. Okay, Viagra. What do you need that for? I got it every morning. What's going on here? And it was testosterone. The average man at 50 had the test. Average doesn't mean everybody. It's just average. Is half when he was a young man. I'm at 70 and mine is 50% higher. Okay, I'm more passionate and more all that stuff. Every year passes, it just slowly goes up, 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 because I understand the dynamics of masculine and feminine, how the feminine increases masculine in your partner, how the masculine increases feminine in the partner, the power of heterosexual relationship, the power of heterosexual marriage. Right now, what's going on, another narrative, is to denormalize. Even with a very small percent of the population, we're going to denormalize heterosexual marriage. This is the average beyond average. This is the history of humanity, is the attempt, doesn't always succeed, is to have heterosexual love so that a child can grow up in heterosexual love, because that child has a male and female side. Now, I know who I'm talking to here. A lot of people don't like hearing any of this stuff. Okay, you love it because you're an enlightened person. So I know a lot of people out there are just like, what is he saying? How dare him saying that men and women are different and how they're so different. So let me address that, okay, for a moment. You can choose to have any lifestyle you want. It's up to you, okay? I think it's a travesty when you train a little boy, however, to lean too far to his female side. If you want to do that as an adult, indulge in your sexual carnality and your bestial urges and whatever, that's all fine. What do I see it as, watching a parade of people walking around naked, flaunting their sexuality. I don't want to bring my child to that because they don't understand it. It's too soon for them. And it can arouse them, just like being molested, before the age where they're capable of doing that. So there's a lot of dysfunction going on. It's Sodom and Gomorrah, and soon to hit its It's like, go ahead and suffer and die, just it's like, but I don't wish that to happen. I wish for us to find the balance within us. And what is the balance? It's indisputable, unquestionable. Here, let us understand. Everybody can Google search it now. There's no dispute. We have at least some facts in life, in this world where alternative facts, okay? Alternative fact. You can believe what you say. You can think it's a fact. No, you're fooling yourself. You're believing a fantasy. All right. So, but I feel it's true. No, if it's causing suffering to you, it's not true. Okay. Now, having said that, I can eat ice cream and think that's good for me, but the next day it's not. So there's a delayed reaction. You have to look at things that maybe feel good to you, but afterwards doesn't feel good. For example, the chronic masturbation that males do, and now some females do to porn. Okay, feels so good. There's nothing to boost your testosterone more than doing porn, and right after it, it goes down, and you feel awful because you just had sex with a fantasy and not reality. You poured out your life force into something that's not going to return it back. It's like emptying your bank account and starting over the next day until you're addicted to that surge of testosterone that you can't sustain in your life because you fantasized. So why does that increase testosterone so much in men? Well, let's look at that. And why is that so important? Why do more men do porn than others? And I know a lot of women go, oh, I do porn too, because you're like a man now. I get it. I get it. That's the problem. All unhappy women are too much on their male, and all lazy, irritable, angry criminals and men are too far on their female side. And I'll explain that to you now biologically. So biologically, if a man is connected mind to heart, that means he's reasonable and loving. If you're reasonable and loving, you never have a negative emotion. Do you know that? It's emotion without reason is negative. That's what it is. Because there's no reason to ever have a negative emotion, but we're not connected in harmony. So we find reasons to justify our negativity. And this is why women have to learn how to see that they're not victims. Men have to realize they're not victims, but we create our problems, and we have the solution by first being accountable, okay? And understanding how we contribute to our problems. Not that other people don't contribute to our problems, clearly they do. All right. Now, the foundation of this, your simple Google search. Okay. Go look at normal, healthy estrogen levels for a woman, and go to normal testosterone levels in a man. And now look at normal testosterone levels in a woman and normal estrogen levels in a man, and you'll see a simple ratio. Women, to be happy and normal, I mean, feel good, an happy person, not dysfunctional, not angry and upset, not stressed out, but you're happy, basically happy woman. Her estrogen levels are 10 times higher than a happy man, as average. And a happy man, he has 10 times more testosterone than a woman. Happy. She's a happy woman, little testosterone, happy man, a lot of testosterone. Then women say, oh, but we women, we need our testosterone too. You do, but 1/10 of what men need. Okay. Now, what produces testosterone? That's what's never been written about. It's never been looked at. There are lots of research now showing in terms of hormones, but not relating that to relationships. Now, we just saw the Super Bowl here in America, and it was, here I'm from California, so I identified more tribally with my LA team. And when they won, I was so excited. I was so happy. I was so proud. I was so grateful, so glad. all the true symptoms of my true self: gratitude, happy, excited, and proud. See, this is when you're true self. You have all those qualities. Well, what produced that inside of me? What produced that inside of me was my team won. And that meant I felt I won. So I'm part of the winning team. So when you win, when you're successful, testosterone goes up. And when a woman is successful, also happiness can go up too. Everybody feels good when your testosterone goes up. That's good. Now, when a man is in a bad mood, when a man is depressed, measure his testosterone consistently. This is not correlation equals, and this is causation, direct. If a man is unhappy, stressed, angry, even angry, crying, sad, depressed, gloomy, irritable, pouting, passive, unmotivated, all that, suicidal, all the bad stuff with a man, his testosterone is low, are gone. Now, there's a variation. If a man is angry and his testosterone is low and his estrogen is high. So he can have high estrogen and low testosterone. He's angry or he's crying or he's very emotional. It's all negative emotions. Negative emotions in men, this is amazing. Negative emotions in men is high estrogen, low testosterone. Negative emotions in women is estrogen and rising testosterone. See, if you're having a negative emotion, see, that's, I'm not getting what I need. Estrogen, the hormone, is not produced when your team wins, unless you think that the team won, so now I'm going to get what I need. So my husband's going to be in a good mood, so I get, it's what I need. Being in touch with what you need, getting what you want, the anticipation of getting what you need, anticipation of getting what you want allows you to do something very unique, which is if you fall in love with a man, you can now say, I can depend on him to get what I need in this relationship. That's called being in love. That's estrogen. Now, when a woman actually has an orgasm, and there are two kinds of orgasms, we'll talk about the best. When she has the best orgasm, what she's feeling is, I can let go and trust. That's it. It's a feeling of I can let go and trust. When you trust, what do you trust? I trust that I'm safe. I trust that I can have what I want. And ultimately, I trust that I can be who I am. It's a letting go of protecting all the time. You know, we're wearing clothes. What are we doing? We're always protecting ourselves. I don't want you to see me. I don't trust that you'll see me with love. When somebody earns their way into seeing you, then it's based upon life experiences of I can trust, I can trust, I can trust. When you're trusting to depend on someone for something, as opposed to protecting, that means I trust these clothes will protect me. I trust that I can protect me, which is interesting because women do trust clothes. That's why they're way into the fashion industry than men, you know. way. And then some people will say, I don't care about fashion and clothes. Yeah, you're on your male side, woman. Just get it. You're on your male side. So anything you're unhappy about, you're too far on your male side. And biologically, that's a fact. A fact is that whenever you're unhappy, your estrogen levels are low, okay? And your testosterone is rising. It's still not like a man's, but for you as a woman, it's rising. Now, the actual desire to have sex, well, wait a second, isn't testosterone needed for my desire to have sex? Well, if your testosterone goes up, you're like a man, you want to have sex and a quickie is fine with you. you just want to have what we could call a tension orgasm. Freud calls it an immature orgasm. It's a purely clitoral orgasm rather than a penetration orgasm. You're being effed, and that's causing you to lose your mind. You're mindless. You're not mindful. That's what I practice all the time, is mindlessness. You know, this is what everybody needs to learn, is how to have less mind. Would you like that, women? That's my mindless side, is my female side. My mindful side is my male side. I'm very mindless to get to the place of mindlessness. That's the whole objective of meditation, which I'm a master of meditation. Long before I got into relationships, I gained self-mastery. Self-mastery, we should all master ourselves before we get in relationships. And if we're not self-master, while you're in the relationship, if there's a problem, the first thing you need to do is back off blaming your partner and come back to self-mastery. And in practical terms and more romantic terms, self-mastery is loving yourself. See, so many women, how do you love yourself? You know, I was on Oprah show one time and somebody said, oh, get naked in front of the mirror and do affirmations. And no, that's going to make you hate yourself more. It's ridiculous. You love yourself by doing things for you that feel good, that raise your estrogen. That would be, I like to sing. So now you're singing in the shower. Okay. So that's doing something you like to do. Anytime you do anything you like to do, that you want to do, that you get to do, that you love to do, that is actual self-love. So that as a result of loving yourself, you look in the mirror and you have a healthy response to, am I beautiful or what? And you know what will turn you on more than anything, women, is to look at yourself and say, I am beautiful. Pride, self-pride that I am beautiful. And maybe sometimes it's too much to look naked, but put on an outfit and say, I am beautiful, and turn down the lights and gradually take that outfit off while you're still feeling, I am beautiful. That's what makes you get turned on. And that's what turns on a man is what, and now biologically what happens is when you love yourself, and you build up that self-love by doing things for you that make you feel love, that all the things that generate estrogen will help you get to that place where you love yourself. Then you have a great marriage. You know why? Because it's a healthy marriage. You're not depending on your partner to make you happy. You're depending on you and your life to make you happy. And now you depend on him to make you happier. That's what you should be looking at. Anytime you're trying to change him, you're depending on him to make you happy. No, depend on him to make you happier. And I know a lot of women never experience that. You don't trust men. Well, before you trust men, you have to trust yourself. And if you've had painful relationships in the past, or you had a father who wasn't trustworthy, and many men aren't. And why? They didn't get what they needed to be worthy of trust. They were with women who weren't capable of being happy and loving. And because women don't know how to love, although you feel mad at me when I say that, but you come to me for counseling and the first thing you say is, I resent the fact that he did not do this, he did not do this, he did not. You paint yourself as this ultimate victim. What man could ever feel nourished by your love when you feel like a victim? And then you say, well, he changed. And he'll say the same thing, but you changed. He no longer did the things he did when he was dating. And he says, she was never happy all the time like when we were dating. So once you understand, so let me give you one example, because this is all just theory now. Let's give a practical example of how you create problems, women. One of the most popular ideas of men and men from Mars is men go to their cave. Now, women discount that because they now go to their cave too. So what's the big deal? Except that when a man goes to the cave, he's pulling away, which is good for him. When you go to your cave, it's not good for you. If your cave is my friend talking to a friend, or it's doing something that nourishes you, spending time in the garden, where you can depend on other things to make you happy, okay, things you like to do. If that's your cave, good, then you have a cave. But if your cave is to withdraw from intimacy alone and do your work, that's not a cave. But men need to pull away from women to rebuild their testosterone. See, this is now I have the scientific understanding of what I explain in my book, Men Go to Their Caves. Now it's a big phenomenon in America. Oh, every man's got to have his cave. He's got a cave. But then you don't know how to get him out of the cave, women. So the art to all this stuff. He goes to the cave, and then some guys, the cave is more fun than you because you're no fun. So he'll just stay in the cave all the time. How do you get him out of the cave? First, you have a very friendly attitude where you don't take it personally when your man pulls away. Women say to me, what do I do when he's in the cave? That's called Venus time. Have a life. What do you do? Because women actually say to me, well, he gets to do what he wants. What do I get? You get to do what you want now that doesn't depend on him, whatever that may be. But clearly you are missing something from him and you keep looking for it, and you'll never get it until you first give it to yourself. That's the self-love. Then you're not so needy and so demanding of him to change, but you love him as he is. That's what love is. I accept you as you are. I appreciate you. I understand you. I accept you. I'm non-judgmental. I care about you and I can trust you. All those are quality of love. The difference, though, is that different kinds of love express in your body different hormones. If I, as a man, want my relationship to be better, I demonstrate caring, consideration. Like Valentine's Day, I ordered flowers with a little balloon, so it arrived on Valentine's Day, and wrote a little note. Wrote all my children little notes that says, I care about you. I care about you. You're a priority. I didn't do that for anybody else. They're special. Expressing sentiment, being affectionate, touching in a non-sexual way, noticing, seeing, prioritizing. That's called I care about you. Now, a lot of men don't really concretely get what it feels like to care about your partner. Imagine somebody's mean to your child. You become very upset about that because you care so much about your child. You're motivated to protect your child. Another example I can use to help men connect with their caring, you don't have kids. You buy a new car. So obviously you bought a new car. Paranoid all the time. Is somebody going to scratch the side of my new car? And then I remember when I got my Tesla, somebody did scratch it. And basically, oh, my car. It's like they scratched me when they scratched my car, because it's easy for men to identify with their cars quite often. For most men, for me, it's true. And I love my car, but I love my wife a lot more. But loving her means that if she's hurting, I go, oh, I'm hurting. See what that is? It's called empathy. Empathy. Oh, I'm hurting. Feel what she feels. And that's the next need, is caring, which leads to understanding. Stand in her shoes. Don't judge her. When she's unhappy, don't try to explain why she should not be unhappy. That's how we make it worse. We don't give her a chance to find her happiness again. And how can she find her happiness again? It used to be for my dad, just come home with a paycheck. That made my mother happy. But women, if you're getting a paycheck, his paycheck doesn't mean much at all. So how can he be loving? Because to feel love, you have to depend on someone for something important for you that you can't get alone. Just get that, digest that. You have to depend on him for something you can't. You can love yourself. You can massage your body, but it's very different when he massages you, and very different when he massages you in places where you don't want anybody else to see or touch. You can't do that for yourself. And if you want to feel safe, you want to really produce a lot of oxytocin, then you do it with a man. A man makes love to you. Why? Because you feel so safe with another woman touching you, women being undressed together. We're all the same. We all look the same, whatever. It's not special. It's special when you're not showing anybody else except this guy. When it comes to guys, you're not going to show your body to all these guys. And the women who do show their bodies to all these guys have dampened sexual energy. This is what's happening today. As women are all dressing so sexy, they can't have orgasms. And if they do have orgasms with their vibrator, and what the vibrator does, stimulates just the clitoris, rather than stimulating the clitoris to start awakening the flow of energy. It stimulates your testosterone hormone. Okay, that's what the clitoris does. Primarily, testosterone gets produced. Now, if you just do clitoral stimulation, you're basically going to build up a tension and then release it. It's kind of like a sneeze. It's what most men just have that kind of sex. It's just a sneeze. His orgasm, it's his ejaculation. Now, what estrogen producing is through intercourse. There's G spot, E spot, and cervix, C spot. It builds up. It's energy that builds up until you become orgasmic. And really, that you just kind of want to just melt into oneness. You don't end. That's the end, is not some sudden release and you're done. It's a gradual, all right, we've completed the act, which might be 2 hours, sometimes a half an hour, 10 minutes, sometimes, depending on where your body energies are. So we have this imbalance today. So most couples aren't having sex, get married and stop having sex. That's the phenomenon in the world today. And my father's generation, after many years, they would stop having sex. But usually if a man was not a wealthy man, he would have another woman to keep having sex. I'm sorry, if he was a wealthy man, he could have another woman having sex. That's called a mistress. And his wife was fine with that, as long as he didn't embarrass her and as long as he took care of all the family needs. But at that point, their sex would disappear. Now, if you go down a notch to the man who could never afford to have a mistress, he will continue to have sex with his wife. It just won't be the best sex I ever had. See, to have the best sex you ever have, you have to feel your partner's best at participation. Because what makes men the happiest in sex is her becoming the happiest of the day. See, it's her happiness. That's why men are always saying, did you have an orgasm? Because they want to know that they were successful, because successful keeps his testosterone up. And so she's faking it. His body knows he wasn't successful. And his testosterone over time will go down in her presence. Whereas a new woman, it goes right back up because he's never been lied to, it's whatever. And of course, pornography, when people go online, that's all a big fantasy. He ejaculates. He never wants her again in most cases. And it's only within 8 minutes. The porn sites basically say, they have the average. They know how long men stay at a site. Now, some men just 3 minutes, some men 5 minutes, some men 15 minutes. It averages out to 8. It's searching. First, you go on the site, you search for different women till you find one gets you excited. Okay, it's a fantasy. Okay, now this is fantasy because not real. She didn't want to have sex with you. She didn't care about you. She didn't love you. You're not any great guy with her. And you're not a big heavy spender. You'd actually get more out of a woman if you said, I'm giving you a big tip or in advance. But anyway, you go on there, you go to the site, and she's just doing this job. And for him, he fantasizes that she wants to have this with me. I'm so great. Because see, sex is ruled by the unconscious mind. And men would only get laid by a woman when she picked him as the better of other men, or at least the best she can get. Okay, that's what she picked. So basically, if a woman appears to want to have sex with a man naked, shows her body, his subconscious mind gets that, oh, I'm a king with her. I'm the king monkey. So he has testosterone. But then after he ejaculates, reality sets in, his testosterone goes down. It goes down lower, lower, lower. And this is what we now know. We don't have an actual study showing over time it's the amount of ejaculations that continues to lower men's testosterone. But I'll give you my experience, and I'll tell you some research and studies. Right now, there's more porn than ever. You can't even do a study of testosterone in men who do porn and men who don't. Can't do that study because there's no men that do porn. One is here. My testosterone levels at 70 years old are 50% higher than when I was a young man. I don't do porn and I don't masturbate. If you look at Freud, you look at Jung, you look at these great minds. I'm looking at the guy who, the biggest genius, Michelangelo and all these big geniuses, Tesla, amazing guy, he was pure celibate, never masturbated, never ejaculated. This is a life force. Now, I'm not saying every man has to be that way, but what you can learn is not to ejaculate all the time. So research has shown that if a man ejaculates once a week, then on the 7th day, 6 days of no ejaculation, on the 7th day, his testosterone levels increase 50%. And if your testosterone increases 50%, it will go back down to your baseline the next day. And that they've done the research. This is proven again and again and again. If you go 6 days without ejaculating men, on the 7th day, sex will be great. Okay. It'll be, if you have to masturbate, you don't really have to, but if you masturbate at least once a week, the best thing, if you have to never masturbate unless you have to. And if you have to, it's because you're stressed. Then what you do is you don't use porn. The fact that you have to use porn to masturbate already means you have to use fantasy to feel good. Are you kidding? You don't want that pattern. You want to have the reality, a truth. So these 20-year-old boys now have 20% less testosterone at 20 years old. Their baseline is 20% lower than the average baseline of a 20-year-old 20 years ago. This is porn, dramatically weakening our whole society. And the problem for women, estrogen levels are dramatically lower than ever before, as evidenced by, I don't have statistics on that generally speaking, except that women having all of these menopause problems and many women needing to take hormones in order to feel good and whatever. They can't make the hormones of well-being. And nobody's ever talked about behaviors specifically for women to raise your estrogen and testosterone in men. That's a big breakthrough. No one's talked about, never before. You can reprogram your body to experience hormonal balance through Beyond Mars and Venus. That's an amazing book for people to check out. If you're in a relationship, you just read a few pages with your partner, already you'll be resonating with each other. It's pure truth. And then when it comes up, some women go, oh, that's not me. Then just relax and go, okay, that's me on my male side, me on my male side. What does he suggest to help you come back to your female side, and how to communicate to a man so he can help you come back to your female side? And when you can do that, your children will grow up feeling confident, capable, law-abiding, respectful, successful, motivated. They're so much easier to handle, because you're basically, anything you reject a man for, you're rejecting the masculinity in a boy. He's now not good enough. And you're pushing down your daughter's ability to trust men. And then she becomes more independent. You see, as a woman, when you don't trust masculinity to be there for you, you become the man. And when you become the man, you're not on your female side. What you want to learn is how to be on your female side and bring the man into you by appreciating him, trusting him, accepting him. When you do that, you're now appreciating, accepting, and trusting your own male energy along with your female energy. You don't have to become the man. You can be a woman and have the power of a man. And what does that mean? You'll find that when you're balanced to both these things, that you get to the higher level of what Maslow talked about is self-actualization. That's finding your mission, fulfilling your purpose, getting to a higher level. Then he said the next level up is unconditional love. That's what I have, unconditional love and wisdom, but it's 70 years in the process here. So, the problems just disappeared in my marriage. Why? Because, something upset me. I go, oh, this is some childhood stuff. It's a trigger. I'll go back and process it, come back and give love to my wife. No need to ever complain, to argue, get mad, all those things. But where does your passion come from? Polarity. A man's in his masculine energy and a woman's in her female energy. That's who we are on this physical plane, and that makes us attractive to each other. This is even biological. When a woman's estrogen goes up, she produces a particular smell that a man's nose, he has little flaps inside this nose, they're pheromones, that's what they're called. You don't consciously smell them. Your body recognizes them and raises your testosterone as if you're a man. If you're a woman and you're in the presence of man with testosterone, that goes up in your presence. That's even more powerful. One is you just have a man out there, he's got high testosterone. He's going to activate your estrogen levels to go higher. There's no question about that. But if in your presence, his testosterone goes up, then your estrogen shoots up. That's why, in some cultures, they worship the penis, because the penis in a man they have statues of penises. I mean, they worship it with ghee on it and everything. It's amazing what a healthy outlook they have about the man's penis, just as we all have a healthy outlook of a woman's breasts and her body, and women's body is beautiful. When these cultures, they see the man's penis is to be worshiped. This is such great stuff. How many women do that? This is like, because you don't appreciate masculinity. This is your power, that you can control this thing. You, by your love and affection and warmth and appreciation, can make that thing fill up with blood and rise higher and higher and higher. That's actually a reality. You should go, that's me. That's my power. Your power on your female side is to get other people to serve you. That's why when you choose to marry a man, he kneels before you. See, men are there to serve you. And if they're not serving you, you're not nurturing your female side. Your female power is weak. And so you want to nourish your female power. Just doing your hair to look beautiful. Beauty is feminine power. It attracts people to you. They do things for you. So what's female power? Female power is the ability to do less and have other people to do more for you. You get to do what you like while they do what you don't want to do. That's female power. Get that. Don't become the guy who's working so hard. And masculine power is, look, I can do the dirty, dangerous, difficult things, and I'm happy. I'm happy doing it because I can do those things knowing that I can provide for someone to love me. And that's so much, it's great. It's great to be a man, and hard to be a man if you don't have the knowledge of, if you don't have a mentor, you have training, encouragement, forgiveness, acceptance. Boy, it's really hard to be a man. I remember as a little boy looking at my dad shaving and thinking, oh, I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that. Then my dad taught me. See, it's just, I had to be taught. That's all. Then it was easy. But, then the next, how do I make enough money to support a woman? I don't even make money for myself. Dad says, yeah, you'll get there. Well, I'm training you. I'm teaching you. See, he has to see it, and he has to see his dad being loved for it and appreciated for it and so forth. Otherwise, he feels lost. We have all these lost males on the planet. Most people may not know, I don't know about Europe right now, but twice in America, twice as many women graduate from college as men. And then they say, where are all the men? You mean men with jobs? You mean men that make as much money as you? See, there's this big illusion that they, again, victimization of women. There's this big illusion that women make less than men for doing the same jobs. No, women make less for doing jobs that men don't want to do. So that's a statistic. If you look at the lowest rungs of society, women take on those jobs because they usually have a baby and they're pregnant, and they can't do jobs that require like 10 hours of work, sometimes 12 hours of work. So men will do dirty, difficult jobs that nobody wants to do or nobody can do. Women do jobs at the lowest level that anybody can do. Anybody can do it. It doesn't cause big stress. Not going to pay you much. Now you get the next rung on the ladder. And this is where women make more than men. And that's called 35-year-old college graduate women, compared to 35 and under to 21 college graduates up to 35. Women make 30% more than men, if the longest they don't have children and they're unmarried. An unmarried woman, she's not in a relationship. She's a man. I'll pay you more than these guys who are all trying to have relationships with women. Okay. Single women, college graduated women, make 30% more for the same job as a man. Now, as soon as she gets pregnant, has family, okay, she's not going to be favored over those men above. So if she's a college educated woman, she's over 35, men doing the same job will make more than her. But if you go right under that, women make more. So it's basically, if I'm a business person and I'm paying my employees, they're doing pretty much the same job, but one does the same job, but works 5 hours overtime sometimes, always available on the weekends. I'm going to go with that guy. I'm going to pay them more. They're going to get more raises because I know the woman is basically not going to be there for all those things. She's got another obligation, her children. And you can't just say, well, you shouldn't do that. You can't do that. We want equity. Everybody gets the same amount of money. Okay, the guy's not going to work for that 4 hours extra. This is like the destruction of society, what's going on. It's a foolishness. I want to use these 3 words in America they're using. And then we have to finish up unless you have another question. But it's equity is everybody gets paid the same. Let's just look at that part. That's what equity means. Everybody gets the same result. Whether you're black, white, brown, whatever, it's just everybody gets the same. Whether you're more competent or incompetent, we should all get the same. It's like everybody wins the trophy at a baseball game. There's no testosterone production. That kills testosterone. What produces testosterone is competition. If I'm better at something, I get paid more. If I'm more productive, I get more. Imagine you have a sales force and everybody gets the same amount of money. Am I going to be motivated to put in those extra hours to do stuff? No. Motivation in the male part of us, and all of us, the male part of us needs, if I don't succeed, I get less. If I succeed, I get more. Oh, that seems so heartless. That seems so terrible. Everybody should get the same. No, that's not the reality of life. Just as men and women, we should all be just the same. No, that's not the reality of life. Oh, we should all be worthy of love. You can be way overweight. Why aren't you just as attractive as women who are not overweight? No, you're more attractive if you are your healthy body style. It's all about sickness. If you're overweight for your body shape, you're not attractive. But we can't even say that in America. Fat shaming, you can't do it. Say somebody's fat. And I get the sensitivity. I don't want to say it's something fake, but I would say on the news every night that you have an 85% chance of dying with this COVID going around if you are obese. You need help. We need government support, not a vaccination. We need someone to coach you at home to lose weight. You need a parent. You need somebody supervising you. We don't need to put people in camps in order to get them vaccinated. We need to put people in camps to lose weight and let it be fun camps. You see, we can't do that. We have to make everything okay. Everything's not okay. It's not okay. So next thing. So equity, men and women are not the same. And to try to make us the same is believing a lie and putting us completely into confusion. I don't know what I am. I don't know what I am. And the amount of marriage has gone in half with gender neutrality. The amount of divorce continues to go higher, but there's much less divorce. So you could say, oh, there's less divorce. There's not more divorce because more people, twice as many people are not getting married today. They don't even get together. They can't make a commitment. Males are too weak. Women are too mistrusting. So we're just going to be in the moment and indulge ourselves in what makes us happy in the moment and then split because we can't work through things. We don't have a commitment. We don't have strength. We don't have self-love. All those things are missing as we have equity of men and women the same. Oh, we're going to have inclusion. Yes, and there's a healthy part of inclusion, which is to help people along the way, include them in the journey, as opposed to just excluding them. So the homeless people in San Francisco, oh, we're going to give you free drugs because we're going to be so inclusive of you. No, to be inclusive, you need to realize these are children without parents. We need to take them by law out of the city into rehabilitation camps where they get fed and they get educated because they're a drain on society. It's not in any way loving to allow someone's dysfunction to rule their life and affect everybody else. But you don't punish them, but you take them away from what they want to do because they're dysfunctional. They don't know how to function. So that's the loving parent, has to wash the face of the child that says, no, I've got mud dried on my face. I don't want to take it off. Somebody has to be wise in this society, thinking we're being loving by allowing them to just live on the streets. A horrible thing, horrible. And then give them drugs and then permit that to occur should not be allowed. So we have to be strong and loving at the same time. We become an indulgent, sex addict, drug addicted, anger addicted, complaining addicted, sick society. And all starts with equity and inclusiveness. Everybody gets, you want to be part of my family, just live on the streets. So we have to have a healthy inclusiveness, which we take them in, we include them in the education that the healthy people got, and you get to have that. Was that equity, inclusion? Well, I forget the other word they used. It's everything we're doing now, and the main narrative on the planet is going in the wrong direction. One of my favorite stories that somehow has been taken off the internet, nowhere you can find this, but it's the history of Egypt and the slaves that they were subjugated, the Jewish people. The Pharaoh subjugated the Jewish people, and to keep them from rebelling, he made a law that women had to do traditional men's work and men had to do traditional female work. So the men were the homemakers and the women were the outside workers. It was the women that built those pyramids. All those pictures are wrong. It's women slaves on the outside, men slaves on the inside. And by reversing the gender, confusing the gender, what you got is a people who are willing to be enslaved, are willing to allow a government to control them and tell them where they can practice their religion, what they can do, what they can say, where they can shop, what they have to do. They're slaves. Sound familiar? What's happening today? You want to go here, you have to have my approval. You want to go here, you must have my enslaving humanity by taking away gender. And 20% of the Jews did not buy along with it. Right now, 20% of the population with the initial vaccination said, not me, not me. 80% got the vaccination. Then people woke up. They only got the first shot. 60% got the next shot. Now 40% got the booster. And you'll see 20% will get the next booster. And after that, hopefully humanity has woken up and we will not be enslaved by other people's thinking. So when you're in a relationship, where is the slavery? Let's say you have an angry husband and you don't know how you're creating an angry husband, then you're going to feel enslaved by him. What do? You're stuck. You can't get out of it. I get it. Women don't see how they're a part of every angry man. He gets angry. And by the way, when a man is angry, men listening, your estrogen levels are soaring. You're becoming a woman in a man's body, which is dysfunction. And one of the ways you show it is by being angry and destructive and mean and cruel. Meanness and cruelty and whatever in most men is never going to occur because there is a psychopathic element of brutally treated children. But the fact that if you marry one of those, you have a problem to be attracted to that. So that's how you can take responsibility for that. But let's say they're reasonably a healthy person, reasonable person. What you do when a man is angry is you do the worst thing instinctively. You want to talk more. You ask him, why would you say that? How can you do that? You don't love me. Where are you going? You can't walk away while I'm talking. And then he says, you say, you're not listening to me at all. And he says, look, I love you, or I understand what you're going. No, you don't. You don't. How do I think you would do that? And you ask a question. You get him to talk. You bait him to talk. When a man is angry and upset, the worst thing you can do is bait him to talk. He should not talk. And of course, you should not speak. That evokes him to respond back. Unless you can say, will you just listen to my feelings and not have to say anything? And I need to talk. And you could preface that by saying, I don't need you to fix these, solve anything. I don't need you to change anyway. And in a healthy relationship, you can even say, it's not really a big deal, but I want you to understand how I feel when you don't call me, or when you leave your socks on the floor, or when you do this or you do that. All the normal kind of domestic squabbles that couples have that just build into resentment that then makes people crazy. You basically, this is not such a big deal, but I just want you to know when you don't turn out the lights and I'm always falling, I start to resent you. And if you could remember it, make me really happy. No big deal. That a man can hear. When you amplify your emotions, nobody can hear that and just makes them go the other direction. But the problem I'm talking about there is all violence in relationships mostly occurs when a couple is in an argument. And then he starts to pull away generally, but maybe he doesn't, or he follows her if she pulls away. There's truth to that too. Is that she'll ask him questions, encouraging him to talk. And by you talking in response to what he said, encourages him to talk back. So if a man is angry, stop talking. Why? Because talking when you're emotional increases estrogen. And that's why women don't realize the solution. Stop talking. Because instinctively, they know if they go to a therapist and talk about their feelings, they feel better. Why? Because if you talk about what you feel, if you express what's inside of you, if you say what you want, say anything about the inside world, if you bring it out, estrogen starts to go up and you feel better. What happens to men is that men just become more and more negative and abusive, and also if they express negative emotions out loud to somebody they're trying to change. So this is like the worst of the worst. And we don't have skills to teach this. I remember the first time with Bonnie and I, in the first few years of marriage, we had all the problems everybody has, and we solved them all until we could fall in love, grow in love. But so we went to a counselor. Not that all counselors are going to do what I just said, what I'm about to say. This is a safe place you can express how you feel. So she started just ripping on me and complaining. You don't listen to complaints like that without becoming angry, because none of it's true, or it's an overreaction, or for every complaint she has, she does the same thing. So why are you making me so bad about it? So then he says, so John, how do you feel, the magic therapist phrase, when she says those things? I said, I'd rather not say. I don't think it would be very constructive to tell you how I feel. Oh, no. This is a safe place to express how you feel. Well, how do I feel? I think she's full of shit. I feel angry. I'm pissed off. How can I love someone who say those things about me? I'm a great guy. How can you think those things about me? And she says, see, that's what he does. That's who he is. I can't have a relationship with him, and runs out of the room. That's a dramatization that not every couple goes through, but that's what's happening. You don't need to spray negativity on your partner. You don't ever have to complain to your partner. You can start learning good communication skills. Like when Bonnie wanted me to turn the lights out, I'd forget to turn the lights out. After years of complaining about it, she tried a different tactic. Stop complaining about it. Now, stop complaining didn't do anything, except we were a happier guy. Then she pokes her head into the kitchen and she says, John, with a smile on her face. You can say almost anything with a smile on your face. She said, John, I've noticed you've been turning out the lights lately. And I just wanted to remind you, it makes me feel so good that you do that. And still, it's not a big deal, but sometimes you still forget. And she walked out of the room. Do you see how tilted that was towards thinking about how I feel, rather than just expressing her disapproval and judgmentalness and frustration and disappointment and worry? He doesn't love me if he doesn't turn out the light. And that's what women do. They'll say, I can say, well, he don't even do this. He doesn't love me. The guy's working hard every day. What do you mean he doesn't love you? You'll find reasons to justify not feeling love because you don't love yourself. And then you use that not love and demand things of him. And of course, that's going to push him away. She did that 3 times. And to this day, I turn out the lights in the living room. And I think about her with a smile on my face, as opposed to thinking about a crazy woman who's demanding things of me. I think about a happy, wonderful woman. If you want to change your partner, do it with love. Start with the appreciate where they are and how to do that. Well, that's a new communication skill. Whoever thought of, honey, I just want you to know it's not a big deal. Now, I teach this all the time. And then, of course, women will then say, well, what if it's a big deal? Like what? What if it's an affair? I say, okay, that is a big deal. Without a doubt, you've made that a big deal. So don't talk to him about it at all. You should go to a therapist and learn, express your feelings, realize you're making it a big deal because you're a wounded child inside. You're a wounded child inside. You don't know it. You don't know it till the person you bonded with like a child. See, when you have sex with a partner, you get naked with them and you experience massive pleasure. What other time in your life did you get naked and experience massive pleasure? But you're a baby and their mother's holding you naked. You see, what a relationship can give you is, I don't think like that, but now I'm starting to understand why you think that way. And I can relate to that. If I was in your situation, I'd feel that too. So now by understanding you, I can relate to you. That means I find you within myself. So it's through heterosexual love and overcoming the challenges of not relating and finding a way to relate, connecting. That's how I bring the feminine into me without having to go into the feminine. And that freed me from sex, for my addiction to sex. I used to really sex as a teenager. Then I realized that depleted my energy. So I became a monk for 9 years and chose celibacy, never masturbated for 9 years. And then prepared through self-mastery, not letting primitive desires overcome me, then choosing only to have sex if it's with the person I love. All this random sex and masturbating to fantasy is destroying our culture. Not that you're a bad person, you're addicted. Just like cocaine, we know. Of course, now I think in one country in Europe, you give people drugs to become more addicted. The same thing you could do, just want to mention with all those compassionate, drug addicts, let's just give them drugs. You know what you can give them? You can actually heal them of their drug addiction by giving them free IV drips of amino acids and certain B vitamins. IV drips that will actually stimulate the brain to make the same brain chemicals that drug did. You're giving them the nutrition that their body is deficient in. By giving them the pre-digested nutrition, your body, see, I learned this when I had Parkinson's 20 years ago, which was brain dysfunction. And in there, I was in a room of 9 other addicts: cocaine, Oxycontin, smoking, sugar addiction, other addictions. And we're all getting this IV drip of pre-digested proteins and B vitamins. And nobody had withdrawal symptoms as we gave up the drug. See, that's why they can't give up the drug. It's that you're now dependent on the drug. You no longer, life can't give you happy. You're more dependent on the drug. So give your body what it needs, and the dependence on the bad thing goes away. And you could free people from all addiction by feeding them, understanding nutrition, not starving them. Our lifestyle today, starving people of love and good nutrition. We can solve all these problems with wisdom and not. It starts with mom and dad being present for the children as a man and a woman who are balanced in their love for each other. There's a polarity, and it's that polarity that keeps the sex life going. Once the sex life is gone, it's because you have no polarity. As a woman, you don't feel safe to be vulnerable with your partner. That's it. You can't have an orgasm with a man if you don't feel safe to be vulnerable with him. And a man, you can't want to have sex with her if you can't be vulnerable with her in your desire to please her. You see, for a man to want to please you is extremely vulnerable. That's his vulnerability. I'm basically saying my happiness comes from you, so I want to please you. And by pleasing you, I can be happy. And the role reversal is that women walk around thinking, oh, I'm going to please him and then I'll be happy. No, your happiness should not come primarily from pleasing him. Your happiness comes from him pleasing you. And to the extent he doesn't, that means you're not already pleased by yourself and your life. So learn to be happy and look to a man to make you happier. Now, all of this can train you to do this. And I have a 6-week women's course at marsvenus.com, which is called How to Get Your Me Time. Your me time is basically all the activities that will increase estrogen. A lot of women think, oh, I don't need me time. That's all I got. I don't have a man. That's why you have a man, is your me time is producing testosterone, not estrogen. Then you learn, and How to Get Your Me Time, how to produce estrogen when you're living with a man. See, how to set boundaries, how to ask for what you want, how to get what you want from your life, how to find that balance. Now, for men, we have a course on great sex. Of course, that's for both men and women, but men really like this. Everyone likes my course on great sex. You've got to have the skills in the bedroom. And also, particularly women, you've got to have the skills outside the bedroom. Why am I not saying men? Because you're in charge of bringing that out of a man. I can tell a man what to do, but so can you if you come back from a place of happiness. Your happiness only comes from knowing how to get what you want from a man without him knowing. See, this is like so powerful. If I could have in a couple, one of you read my book, it'd be the woman. Because you have the power to change a man. Men, you only have the power to create a place of safety for a woman to find herself. Then you have the power to make her happier. And that makes you happier as well. But you can't actually bring your partner back. But what a woman can do, see, I'm not me. I can ask him, give him these tasks to do that any man will do to help you come back to your female. And that's by learning how to communicate, how to know the important things which are necessary to produce estrogen, and how you can say, do, behave in ways that will stimulate testosterone in men. And men have to learn ways to produce testosterone without depending on a woman, that are healthy, that don't take away from the relationship. Yeah, a guy can do porn away from the relationship. It's not healthy. There's things men can do to produce their testosterone, which one of the things is simply cave time, pulling away from depending on your partner to make you happy. You know, you have constructive work where you get paid. That's one. Two is in your off time, you do things that you're learning a new skill. You're getting better at something. You feel confident at something. You're challenged by something, but your livelihood is not dependent on it. That's what's called cave time. And there's a lot of different ways to have your cave time, which is called rebuilding your testosterone. So now you can enter the world of a woman. You can go into her by learning all the things you do that will make a woman have sex with you. Actually, is how you going to your female side. So I wrote a whole book on that called Mars and Venus in the Bedroom. But better, most entertaining talk you'll ever hear on sex is go to my class on Secrets of Great Sex. And for everybody, we have a free introductory course to all my ideas. I know I've been all over the place, can't teach the world in a few minutes, But this book is how to get everything, this free course is how to get everything you want in your relationships. One for men, single women, married women, or couple women, or coupled man. And in that, you'll get the basis of how tomorrow you'll start getting more, and it builds. It's not like all at once. How to get everything you want doesn't mean tomorrow you're going to get it. But you don't mind it because you realize the only reason you're not getting it is you. And as you change you, not your partner, you start getting more.
I'm so grateful. Thank you, John.
Oh,
I mean, you touched on so many things that are so essential and really linked to quite a few questions I had prepared. And yes, we are a little bit on a timeline, but I want to touch on something if you give me permission to continue a few minutes longer.
Yes. I'll give short answers
now. In my research, there came something up about a particular little hidden part that is described as a part for positive illusion. Now, I interviewed in very deep depth Dr. Bruce Lipton on his honeymoon effect. And I mean, he is creating this line, create heaven on earth. So I want to say, positive illusion, is that possible? Can we actually make it up so that it is in life really happy? And
biologically, I'll come back to reality here. The scientists have found with their brain scans that when your blood flows to the left prefrontal cortex, you're suddenly not being controlled by your instincts, not by your limbic system. Primarily, you're being controlled by the front part of the brain, which I will mention that whenever your hormones are out of balance, you have decreased blood flow to where you can change your life. It goes to the middle part or the primitive part. What you want is blood flow through the whole brain. Okay, like making love, you're in your higher self, particularly when you realize your partner is God and you're having sex with God. And that's spirit, that's mind, that's emotion, and that's primitive sex drive, ecstasy, is all that together. Now, I have that. It's taken a lifetime to get that. You don't get that overnight, but that's the direction. If you follow my directions or other people that teach gender differences in a positive way to improve communication, people teach spirituality, meditation, that can help all these, so many different things. Like what you just said, you got all these things, but are you mood making? You're just living in a fantasy. Now, falling in love, by the way, is a fantasy. The difference being in love is reality. Falling in love is the fantasy of I'm imagining I'm with this person and maybe this love will last forever. They could be the one where I could share my life forever. Maybe this is the person I don't have to look anymore. Nobody wants looking for love. I mean, wouldn't it be great if you always know you got a source of love? Now you just look for more, but you've always got that background of love. Okay. So this is falling in love is the temporary illusion that this is the right person. Reality comes in when you can be with them for a while and you discover that they are able to provide what you need. But I imagine, so I do a story for this real quick. In my early seminars back in the early 80s, I remember this one. I got an audience in front of you. I said, now I want you to just imagine the power of imagination is that, as you know, I'm a best-selling author and actually, I wasn't a best-selling author then. I could do that now. But I could say, what you don't know is that my parents are billionaires and they've given me the job of finding good people so that they could get more money for their good deeds. So if they come to imagine this to be true. And so all the people that come here that I'm now given permission by my rich parents to give you a check for $1 million. And we're going to be writing out those checks right now. Now you imagine now we're writing out those checks and we're handing it out to you. How do you feel? You feel like a millionaire because you believe that that's going to happen. Now you're so excited. And then what you do is, now I say, now, it's $1 million. The check's going to take a week to clear. Let me just quickly, I'm going way over time. Can I call you back in just a few minutes? I'm just finishing up.
Okay,
bye. So imagine this is true. You're going to have $1 million. So you're going to be happy right now. You're going to feel like you're a millionaire. That's being in love. That's living in the fantasy. So now I'm in love. Now, the great thing of living in the fantasy is I'm actually producing all those hormones of being in love. Well, that's great until reality will set in. And I say to you, it's going to take 7 days for the check to clear. So you go ahead and deposit it. But during those 7 days, what are you going to do? You're going to start, you're going to bring into reality your fantasy, right? You're going to go spend money. You got a credit card. living in fantasy. So you're going to start spending a lot of money now. At the end of the week, you're going to find out that's a bounced check. It's all a joke. It's a fantasy. But what did you do? You spent money already. So now you feel really unhappy. Let's say you didn't spend any money at all. That's because you really didn't fully believe, and you're not going to be as ecstatic. So believing in the good thing is great, but then you hit reality and you start spending that, you feel really broke. It's not so good. So, gosh, applying that to relationships real quick. You fall in love, you think you're with the right person, you get married, and so you behave like you're getting everything you need. And women do this more than men. So you behave like, actually men do it in a different way, but you behave like you're always going to get what you need. So you give a lot. And he, on the other hand, is feeling like, oh, finally I found love. Now I don't have to work hard for it. It's kind of like, I made my millions, now I can retire. So he's going to give less and you're giving more because you imagine you're getting so much. So naturally your female thing is to give back, give back, give back. So he gets more love than he deserves. He didn't do anything for it. That kills his motivation to give more and kills her ability to be happy. This is like crazy. So living in the fantasy is powerful, but then we have to live in reality. Now, how do you do that at the same time? See, the fantasy is the power of attraction. You can have whatever you want, okay? Your thoughts create reality. Everything around you, you can pull it into your life. A lot of people read those books that got so excited, then they're depressed. It didn't work. I keep doing it. It didn't work. And then it's a catch-22. Then they say, well, it's you're not believing. If you continue to believe, it will work. And he said, yeah, but it's been 3 years now. It hasn't happened. What happened? It says, oh, so now you're complaining. You see, you're not believing. If you're believing, then you're living in the reality. But it's a fantasy. You still don't have money. You didn't get your new car. You didn't get So what to do? So this is a lot of people get fooled in life because people say, you'll have this and this and this, and then you don't. You're kind of upset. All right. So falling in love is a big fantasy. Living in love is reality. So what is the way to balance all of that so you get it all? Prefrontal cortex. The left prefrontal cortex, whenever you're super optimistic, and that's what this is about, being super optimistic, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to have all these pathways in your brain which develop from being super optimistic. So in your life, you're going to have more activity in the left part of your prefrontal cortex. That's positive people. Now, pessimistic people, and there are people just pessimistic about everything. Yeah, prove it to me. Yeah, she said it this time. Let me see if you do it next time. I just don't know. And, stock market is in a crash. You never know when it is. It might be tomorrow. So you're always looking at doomsday, the problem. Yeah, he washed the dishes, but he didn't wash this glass, or he didn't wash that spoon. It still has something on it. This is the pessimistic side. I can't fully trust you. So that's also fantasy. The fantasy that life isn't wonderful.
The solution is probably consciousness, is it? Would you say?
No. That's a very naive statement. Consciousness means nothing to anybody. Okay, everybody's conscious. All right,
okay.
Everybody's conscious, but it's consciousness which activates both the left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Yes,
a consciousness that will recognize both sides, the negative and the positive.
Yeah.
This is what when you're in a relationship, if you're loving, you're anticipating getting what you need. And when you don't get what you need, what happens is you stop believing that you can get what you need, which is a lie. You can. Yes. And so you have to look at, but the truth is I'm not getting what I need. That's the negative. And then you have to combine the negative with the positive. I'm not getting what I need, but I can get what I need. All I have to do is change my thinking. So, but I have to feel the part of me that says I'm not getting what I need. I can't just be optimistic all the time. I can't just be in denial that I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting love and support. I'm not getting healthy. I'm just getting fat. I could just be eating ice cream and being happy all the time.
That brings us back to doing and the daily rituals and the way we live and what we say and what we do ultimately is the basis for all the happiness and the success in a relationship, really. It brings us back to the moment by moment decisions we make about our life and our body and our mind and heart, is it?
To share with our partner that which is positive about us and not dump them with our negativity, is to realize our negativity is the illusion. When you combine negativity with positivity, then you conclude the negativity is the illusion. Now, how do you do that? You go, oh, I don't have any money in the bank, but I have the ability to make money. So now you have both things together. There's no money in the bank, but I have the ability to make money, and take those positive and negatives together. You get an integration that gives you motivation and the ideas of how to go make money and solve this problem. Solving a problem is the integration of there's a problem and I'm the solution. The reality is there's a problem and my partner is not the solution. That's the big lie. And you can do all those things to make you happy and fulfill whatever. But if you think your partner is the source of your happiness, that's the lie. That's the takeaway of all I'm saying is your partner triggers the part of you that thinks they should be the source of your happiness when you're upset. And your partner's job is to make you happier if you can make yourself happy. It's very easy to fall in love and stay in love with a woman who takes her own happiness. It's her responsibility. And it's very, very powerful if a man in his relationship, when his partner is not happy, he takes responsibility for how he is contributing to her unhappiness and what he can do to make her happier. But that requires her being honest about her unhappiness, that he now knows how to help her. Men helping increases the male hormones. Being helped increases your female hormones. Then your brain goes into balance.
Thank you, John. I so appreciate your time. See you next time. And yeah, happy Valentine's. And
everybody should know, Adriane is a Mars-Venus coach. She's one of the rare people in the world that has this sacred knowledge that has been lost, that men and women are in different worlds, and we have to come together to create the ecstasy of oneness.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate our time and enjoy.
A perfect talk for when planet Mars is one with planet Venus. So good.
Absolutely. So nice.
And the sign of Capricorn, which is the sign of growth, one level to another level. It's the goat who climbs the mountain one step at a time, one step. That's how you get high, is integrating the negative and positive, not just the fantasy.
So educational, so helpful. Thank you, John.
Okay. Thank you.
See you next time. All the best. Thank you.
Continue on bringing the light of love into the world. Thank you.
Thank you
Mars,
so
Venus
much.
coach there. Okay. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.